At exactly 1 minute ago, the false calm hanging over the eastern Mediterranean was violently shattered by a synchronized saturation attack designed to completely overwhelm the multi-layered air defense grids of Israel and simultaneously blind the United States naval assets loitering just over the horizon, inside the heavily fortified underground command bunkers of the Kuria in Tel Aviv. The massive digital tactical displays of the Israeli Air Force's Air Defense Command suddenly transitioned from a stable blue peacetime posture into a terrifying sea of flashing red hostile track. It began not with a massive roar, but with a silent, catastrophic anomaly within the electromagnetic spectrum, as early warning ELM 2084 active electronically scanned array radars detected an unprecedented volley of incoming projectiles originating from multiple hostile staging grounds. From the densely populated urban labyrinth of Palestine, specifically deep within the coastal enclaves and hidden subterranean launch sites, a barrage of hundreds of low-tech, short-range ballistic rockets erupted into the twilight sky, their crude solid rocket motors painting fiery contrails against the darkening cloud. This initial salvo, however, was immediately recognized by the seasoned Israeli sensor operators not as the primary lethal threat, but as a calculated, overwhelming decoy, wave deliberately engineered to deplete the ready-to-fire inventory of the Iron Dome interceptor batteries, positioned strategically around major Israeli population center. The Tamir interceptors, with their active radar seekers and highly agile aerodynamic control surfaces, launched in spectacular ripple-fire sequences, their blinding exhaust plumes intersecting the incoming Palestinian rocket, wave in a chaotic, high-altitude dance of kinetic annihilation that temporarily turned the night sky as bright as day. But the true nightmare was only just beginning to unfold in the upper atmosphere, far above the localized chaos of the Iron Dome's engagement envelope. At the exact moment the Israeli batteries were maximally engaged, the United States Navy's Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyers, acting as the forward-deployed ballistic missile defense shield for the region, detected a far more sinister and technologically advanced threat vector. The Spy-1D, V, and advanced Spy-6 radars aboard the USS Gravely and the USS Cole, operating in seamless integration with the Aegis combat system, registered multiple high-speed thermal blooms originating from deep within the territory of regional state-sponsored proxies, confirming the launch of medium-range ballistic missiles equipped with highly maneuverable re-entry vehicles. These advanced munitions were not aiming for random civilian center. Their trajectory algorithms were strictly calculated to decapitate the critical command and control infrastructure of both the Israeli Defense Forces and the United States Central Command's forward, operating logistical nodes, as the blinding speed of the inbound ballistic threats reduced the defensive reaction window to a mere handful of seconds. The trilateral interoperability between Israel, the United States, and the localized airspace over Palestine became the most critical digital battleground on the planet. The Link 16 Tactical Data Exchange Network, the invisible digital spine connecting the Allied forces, surged with petabytes of targeting telemetry, fusing the radar pictures of the Israeli Green Pine early warning systems with the orbital infrared tracking data provided by American space-based infrared system satellite. In response to the high-altitude ballistic threat, the Israeli Arrow 3 exoatmospheric interceptors were commanded to launch, their massive solid propellant boosters igniting with a deafening roar that shook the concrete foundations of the launch silos located deep in the Negev desert. These billion-dollar defensive marvels hurtled upward, shedding their booster stages as they punched through the stratosphere and entered the cold vacuum of space, their kinetic kill vehicles hunting for the incoming warheads amidst a cloud of sophisticated deployment decoys. Simultaneously, recognizing the overwhelming saturation nature of the coordinated assault, the commander of the United States Sixth Fleet authorized the immediate release of SM-3 Block IIA interceptors from the vertical launch systems of the forward-deployed destroyers. The American missiles raced skyward, their trajectories mathematically perfectly deconflicted with the Israeli Arrow 3s by the automated artificial intelligence algorithms governing the joint Allied air defense architecture. As the exoatmospheric engagements unfolded in silent, expanding spheres of vaporized metal and plasma hundreds of miles above the Earth's surface, the tactical situation at sea level deteriorated with terrifying rapidity, taking advantage of the skyward focus of the Allied air defense networks. A coordinated swarm of low-flying, radar-evading suicide drones, heavily laden with high-explosive fragmentation warheads, breached the coastal airspace, utilizing the complex topographical radar clutter of the hills of Palestine and the Mediterranean coastline to mask their approach. These loitering munitions, operating autonomously via pre-programmed GPS waypoints and terminal optical recognition software, zeroed in on the vulnerable radar arrays and communication antennas of the David's Sling medium-range interception battery. Recognizing the imminent threat to their critical mid-tier defense systems, the Israeli Air Force scrambled multiple squadrons of F-35I Adir stealth multi-role fighters from the heavily fortified underground hangars of Nevatim Air Base. The fifth-generation fighters, utilizing their advanced AN/APG-81 AESA radars and distributed aperture systems, formed an impenetrable airborne sensor web, hunting down the incoming drone swarm with ruthless, surgical precision. The F-35 is unleashed a volley of AIM-9X Sidewinder air-to-air missiles and engaged the low-flying threats with their internal 25 rotary cannons, turning the skies over the disputed territories into a deadly gauntlet of shredded carbon fiber and detonating ordnance. However, the adversary's strategy was not solely reliant on kinetic munitions. It was a deeply layered multi-domain offensive that heavily prioritized electronic warfare and cyber degradation. As the F-35 is cleared the airspace, a massive, wideband electromagnetic jamming signal, originating from a disguised commercial cargo vessel loitering suspiciously in the international waters off the coast of Gaza, slammed into the Allied communication network. This high-powered microwave pulse was specifically designed to sever the encrypted data links between the Israeli ground commanders, the airborne Adir fighter, and the United States Navy strike group. Tactical screens across the theater suddenly dissolved into blinding white static. GPS targeting coordinates drifted wildly out of alignment, and the highly orchestrated Allied defense grid threatened to fracture into isolated, highly vulnerable pockets of resistance. The situation reached its absolute operational zenith, a crucible of pressure where a single miscalculation would result in catastrophic, unmitigable devastation for the densely packed civilian populations of Israel and Palestine alike, while dealing a humiliating, strategic defeat to the United States military apparatus. It was at this exact moment of maximum peril, with the electronic fog of war threatening to consume the entire theater of operations, that the unparalleled technological superiority of the United States and Israeli alliance truly manifested its lethal potential. Aboard the USS Gerald Ford, the world's most advanced nuclear-powered supercarrier, the airborne early warning and control aircraft, the E-2D Advanced Hawkeye, executing a high-altitude racetrack orbit, managed to pierce the electronic interference using its revolutionary UHF band AN/APY-9 radar. The Hawkeye's sensor operators, working in a feverish, highly coordinated symphony of keystrokes and voice commands, isolated the exact frequency hopping algorithms utilized by the enemy jamming vessel. With the source of the electronic blackout positively identified, the American carrier strike group retaliated not with conventional explosives, but with an invisible, highly directed beam of cyber-kinetic energy. Two EA-18G Growler electronic attack aircraft, catapulted from the Ford's electromagnetic launch system just moments prior, directed their next-generation jammer pods precisely at the hostile cargo ship, unleashing a countersurge of localized electromagnetic force that physically melted the internal circuitry of the enemy's broadcast arrays. As the crushing weight of the electronic jamming lifted, and the tactical data links re-established their encrypted handshakes, the Israeli F-35 is now completely unchained and digitally reconnected to the Aegis combat system of the United States Navy, pivoted from defensive interception to aggressive, retaliatory decapitation. The stealth fighters, seamlessly sharing targeting data with American guided missile cruisers, penetrated deep into hostile airspace, completely bypassing the obsolete Soviet-era surface-to-air missile batteries deployed by the regional proxies. The Adirs, operating in absolute, radar-evading silence, dropped precision-guided joint direct attack munitions and small-diameter bombs onto the hardened subterranean command bunkers that had orchestrated the initial barrage. The bunker-busting munitions penetrated deep into the earth before detonating, triggering massive secondary explosions that completely vaporized the enemy's command and control infrastructure, effectively decapitating the hostile operational hierarchy in a matter of seconds. Meanwhile, in the complex, highly volatile border regions, where the proximity of Israeli settlements and Palestinian communities made large-scale kinetic strikes impossible without unacceptable collateral damage. The most elite Tier 1 Special Operations Forces of the Israeli Defense Forces were deployed to neutralize the remaining, highly mobile rocket launch team. Operators from Sayeret Makal and Shaldeg, utilizing advanced active camouflage and suppressed subsonic weapon systems, infiltrated the contested urban environments under the cover of total darkness, executing surgical, close-quarters combat raids that neutralized the hostile launch crews before they could reload their crude, highly volatile weapon systems. The synchronization of these ground assaults with the overarching, high-altitude umbrella provided by the United States Navy and the Israeli Air Force demonstrated a level of multi-domain combat integration that completely shattered the adversary's operational doctrine. The initial, overwhelming wave of aggression, designed to exploit perceived vulnerabilities in the Allied defense grid, had instead activated a highly automated, unimaginably lethal, and technologically dominant kill chain that systematically dismantled the multi-pronged attack across the land, sea, air, space, and cyber domain. As the final, desperate salvos of the enemy's broken offensive were effortlessly swatted from the sky by the replenished batteries of the Iron Dome and the tireless vigilance of the American Aegis destroyer, a heavy, smoke-filled silence began to settle over the eastern Mediterranean. The unprecedented scale of the assault, the sheer volume of munitions expended, and the terrifying, split-second margins of error had pushed the defensive capabilities of both Israel and the United States to their absolute, razor-thin limits, proving that the modern battlefield is no longer defined by conventional front lines, but by the instantaneous, algorithmic processing of data and the seamless integration of Allied firepower. The geopolitical ramifications of this failed, catastrophic offensive would undeniably alter the strategic balance of power in the region for decades to come, sending an unambiguous, uncompromising message to any hostile actor attempting to violently disrupt the fragile, highly contested stability of the Middle East. The populations of Israel, Palestine, and the wider Levant awoke to a sky scarred by the twisting, dissipating contrails of hundreds of intercepted missiles, a stark, visceral reminder of the apocalyptic violence that had been narrowly averted by the invisible, electronic shield maintained by the tireless, unsung operators of the Allied defense networks. The United States Navy, its forward-deployed strike groups having successfully defended the sovereign airspace of a critical ally, while simultaneously neutralizing a major multi-domain threat, returned to their silent, heavily armed patrols, their sensors constantly sweeping the horizon for the next inevitable provocation. And Israel, having weathered an unprecedented, highly coordinated storm of steel and electronic warfare, immediately began the arduous, highly complex process of analyzing the combat telemetry, replenishing its depleted interceptor stockpiles, and refining its tactical doctrines to ensure that the next time the early warning sirens shatter the silence of the night, the Iron Dome, David's Sling, and arrow systems will be ready to execute their defensive mandates with even greater, more lethal efficiency. The sheer volume of kinetic energy exchanged in those frenetic, desperate minutes redefined the global understanding of saturation attacks, proving that no matter how sophisticated the diversionary tactics or how powerful the electronic jamming, the integrated, technologically superior alliance between the United States and Israel remains the undisputed, insurmountable guardian of the regional skies, capable of identifying, engaging, and utterly destroying any threat, from crude, unguided rockets to the most advanced hypersonic glide vehicle, with a level of precision and overwhelming firepower that simply cannot be matched by any adversary on the modern, highly contested global stage. This absolute dominance is not merely a product of superior hardware, but the culmination of decades of joint military exercises, shared intelligence gathering, and an unwavering diplomatic commitment that binds the strategic destinies of Washington and Jerusalem together in a complex, inextricably linked web of mutual defense and regional security. The intricate dance of the E-2D, advanced Hawkeye's radar, arrays sweeping the maritime environment, combined with the subterranean seismic sensors monitoring the volatile borders of Palestine for unauthorized tunneling activities, creates a comprehensive, multidimensional threat matrix that leaves virtually no blind spots for hostile state or non-state actors to exploit. Every single piece of data, From the faint acoustic anomaly of a submarine's propeller, cavitating in the deep trenches off the coast of Haifa, to the thermal signature of a drone launcher being hurriedly assembled in a densely populated urban alleyway, is instantly captured, analyzed, and disseminated across the Link 16 network, ensuring that both American and Israeli tactical commanders are operating with a unified, real-time, and perfectly synchronized picture of the battle space. The sheer logistical magnitude of this Allied defense apparatus is staggering to comprehend, requiring the constant, uninterrupted flow of massive amounts of encrypted data, the precise physical positioning of multi-billion-dollar naval assets across thousands of miles of open ocean, and the tireless, round-the-clock vigilance of tens of thousands of highly trained military personnel, operating in some of the most stressful, high-pressure environments on the face of the Earth. Consider the technological marvel of the F-35I Adir, a fighter jet so advanced that it functions less like a traditional combat aircraft and more like a highly agile, supersonic flying supercomputer, capable of passively absorbing vast amounts of electromagnetic intelligence from the surrounding environment, processing that data using highly classified, onboard artificial intelligence algorithms, and then silently distributing targeting solutions to older, fourth-generation fighters or even ground-based artillery units, without ever emitting a single active radar pulse that could betray its position to enemy surface-to-air missile battery. When these stealth fighters are seamlessly integrated with the unparalleled, long-range radar tracking capabilities of the United States Navy's Aegis cruisers and destroyers, the resulting combat network is effectively impregnable, capable of projecting an invisible, highly lethal dome of protection that extends from the edge of the Earth's atmosphere all the way down to the surface of the Mediterranean Sea. The failed saturation attack, despite its unprecedented scale and its highly sophisticated use of electronic warfare and cyber degradation tactics, ultimately served only to validate the billions of dollars invested in this joint defense architecture, proving that the multi-layered, highly integrated approach to air and missile defense is the only viable strategy for countering the rapidly evolving, increasingly complex threats that define the modern 21st century battlefield. The adversaries who orchestrated this massive, coordinated assault gambled everything on the assumption that sheer numbers and localized electromagnetic jamming could overwhelm the processing capabilities of the Allied sensor network. But they catastrophically underestimated the redundancy, the processing speed, and the sheer, unadulterated firepower that the United States and Israel can bring to bear when their critical interests are threatened. As the morning sun finally broke over the horizon, casting a harsh, unforgiving light on the scattered debris of the intercepted munitions that had fallen harmlessly into the sea and the barren deserts, the true scale of the Allied victory became undeniably clear to military analysts and intelligence agencies around the world, who watched in awestruck silence as the combat telemetry data was downloaded and parsed, revealing a defensive engagement that had been executed with a level of surgical precision and automated efficiency that was previously thought to be theoretically impossible outside of advanced computer simulations. The enduring lesson of this incredibly brief, intensely violent confrontation is that the future of warfare belongs not to those who can build the most rockets or launch the largest drone swarms, but to those who can process information faster, maintain secure communications in heavily degraded electronic environments, and flawlessly integrate the lethal capabilities of multiple allied nations into a single, unified, and utterly unstoppable kill chain. The United States and Israel, through their unbreakable alliance and their relentless pursuit of technological supremacy, have decisively proven that they possess exactly that capability, establishing a new, incredibly high benchmark for multi-domain combat operations that will force every potential adversary to fundamentally rethink their strategic calculus and completely redesign their offensive doctrines if they ever hope to mount a credible challenge to the reigning guardians of the global order. The skies over Israel, Palestine, and the broader Middle East remain tense, heavily monitored, and constantly patrolled by the unseen electronic sentinels of the Allied defense network, a permanent, highly sophisticated reminder that the price of peace in this volatile region is eternal vigilance, overwhelming technological superiority, and the absolute, uncompromising willingness to instantly annihilate any threat that dares to test the impenetrable, invisible shield that stands between civilization and the abyss of total, unmitigated chaos. Furthermore, the intricate geopolitical dynamics surrounding this unparalleled display of military prowess cannot be understated, as the immediate involvement of the United States Navy Central Command fundamentally shifts the diplomatic paradigms of the entire region, signaling to both allies and adversary alike that Washington remains absolutely committed to the defense of its primary strategic partner in the Middle East, regardless of the political complexities or the domestic pressures that often seek to complicate the bilateral relationship. The rapid, seamless deployment of American kinetic and electronic assets to actively shield Israeli airspace, while simultaneously neutralizing the offensive capabilities of hostile proxies operating from within or near the borders of Palestine, demonstrates a level of operational fluidity that completely negates the traditional, highly bureaucratic delays that have historically plagued multinational coalition operation. This instantaneous, algorithmically driven response mechanism, powered by the incredible data-sharing capabilities of the Link 16 network and the unparalleled processing power of the Aegis combat system, effectively merges the United States and Israeli militaries into a single, highly cohesive, and terrifyingly lethal organism during times of acute crisis, blurring the lines between national defense forces and creating a unified front that is mathematically impossible to overwhelm through conventional saturation tactics. The operators sitting in the dimly lit combat information centers of the USS Gerald Ford, staring intently at the glowing tactical displays and executing split-second targeting decisions that carry the weight of global stability, are not merely sailors. They are the highly specialized, extensively trained digital architects of modern warfare, tasked with managing a battle space that is evolving at the speed of light and making life-or-death decisions based on complex, multi-layered data streams that would completely overwhelm a normal human mind. Their ability to remain calm, focused, and incredibly precise, while the electronic environment around them is exploding with hostile jamming signals, incoming ballistic threat warnings, and the chaotic, overlapping communications of multiple allied units is a testament to the rigorous, uncompromising training protocols that define the elite standards of the United States Navy and the Israeli Defense Forces. The successful interception of the multi-domain threat vector, which included everything from crude, unguided rockets launched from densely populated civilian areas to highly advanced, hypersonic glide vehicles designed specifically to evade traditional radar networks, stands as a monumental, historic achievement in the annals of military history, completely rewriting the textbooks on air and missile defense, and establishing a new, incredibly complex standard for future combat operations. As the world digests the staggering implications of this brief, but incredibly intense engagement, it is abundantly clear that the alliance between the United States and Israel has crossed a new threshold of technological and operational integration, creating a defensive bulwark that is not only capable of protecting the skies over the Middle East, but is also actively deterring the outbreak of large-scale, conventional warfare by making the cost of aggression unimaginably high and the probability of success absolutely zero.